Alright, so if you're trying to find the inverse function, what you gotta do is you first gotta switch the x and the y. This is the way I like to do it. There's other ways to do it. Now, because we have this squared, we have to do something special, which is kind of annoying. It's a little more work. You gotta first get the y's alone on one side. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna complete this square. Remember, a perfect square, like this polynomial right here, this perfect square you can take the square root of it and it would give you x plus 5, which is beautiful. So if we can get that, if we can get a perfect square right here, we can square root it and that would get rid of the squared. That's what we're gonna do right here. To complete the square, you gotta take b, divide it by 2, and then square it. The b is always the x term. Actually, whoops, that's supposed to be a y right there. So that term right there. So if I take that, if I take the 3, divide it by 2, then square it, it would look like this. And then I would get 9 over 4. Now if I add 9 over 4 to this side, I must do the same to this side. So I put it right there because it's an equation. And then on this side I would have y plus, what would that be, 3 over 2 squared. So now this is a perfect square trinomial, so I could factor it, rewrite it like this. And on this side I would have x plus, and 2 is the same as 8 over 4. If I add that to 9 over 4, that would be 17 over 4. And now I can get rid of this squared. I get rid of that square just by square rooting it, which I couldn't do up here. I couldn't just square root that. And then I get plus or minus the square root of x plus 17 over 4 equals y plus 3 over 2. And then I would subtract 3 over 2 from both sides. So I would have negative 3 over 2 plus or minus the square root of x plus 17 over 4. Now, the y is alone. Did I write y as a function of x? Yes and no. I did get the y alone, yay. But because there's plus or minus right there, this function, this inverse function that I tried to write, is not an inverse function because it doesn't pass the vertical line test. It doesn't pass the definition of a function. If I plug in an x value, I get 2 y values, and that's not a function. So this is the answer, but it's not a function. This guy over here, he's a little prettier. When I work on him, let's see, we got the x and the y, we switch those guys up. And then I get the y alone, so I subtract 3 from both sides. And then I divide both sides by 4. I get y equals x minus 3 divided by negative 4, which can be written as, let's see, we'll put the negative in front. We have x minus 3 over 4. And I could divide each of these terms by 4, write it a different way even still, but I'm just going to leave it like so. So here's my inverse g function.